Good evening, peoples. It is Bruce with Targeted Wealth Creation, and we are here for the outstanding Roundhill weekly payers. We're up to 15, guys, and I'm already anticipating the fund of funds. I did a video last week on what if we took the 10 funds, because at that time the 15 hadn't paid, and compared yield max with these 15 or with these 10 and called it a fund of funds and said, okay, 10 exact same funds, exact same time, and Roundhill was far superior. So again, the one thing, yield max has been around longer, but at least I went with the same date and time frame. With these first five, they could use 219. Here I had to use 618 as their launch. Now we have the first paycheck on the 724, guys. All right, let's go to the detail and let you see it here. Then I'll come back to the summary. So just to update, these guys, you can still buy them on 8/8, okay? They will go X on 8/11, and they will pay on Tuesday the 12th for all 15 of these funds. As a reminder, they're typically leveraged 120% of the underlying. So when things like Palantir keep moving and Hood keep moving, they capture a lot of the upside, they also pay excellent. So, when you get that dynamic, what you want to be careful of, obviously, Palantir is getting long in the tooth. Do I believe it's going to go a lot higher over time? Absolutely. I'll have to look at the 200-day moving average. I'll have to look at how stretched it is, because it will pull back at some point. Just like Hood. Hood is pretty long in the tooth now. You can expect from where it last bottomed, like Hood, where it went up, about a 50% retrace. A worst case, probably a 0.618. That's percentage, guys. So I'm making up these numbers. If Hood went up 300 points, 50% retraces, it drops from 300 to 150. Right. But they don't go from zero to that. But whatever the last, I'm not looking at the chart, guys. And that's when you want to DCA into these things, not just chase yield. I mean, the highest yielder was who? HOOW, right? If you chase that and you catch it on a high and you go all in, then when it pulls back 50%, you're like, oh my God. And I am not as bullish long term on something like on HOO, well, actually on the underlying Hood. I know a lot of you are, and I could be wrong and you're right. I just say, hey, it's a retail broker. I don't care what they're doing with stablecoin. I don't care what they're doing with all this other type of thing. The CEO is an innovator. He's done really good things, but it is a retail broker at the end of the day. Can somebody bigger with a lot more money just buy them and then change them? And then over a number of years, somebody else. I always do my Netscape, my AOL, right? Things come and they go. The best restaurant in town, everybody, you can't get a reservation. 2 years later, they're out of business. Now, I'm not suggesting Hood is going out of business. I'm just saying that premium and that FOMO, at the end of the day, it's a retail broker. Are they going to dominate the world? No, because you'll have Hood equivalent in Europe or somewhere, and these guys try and expand. But unless you've been in place for 15 years and you innovate like crazy, or a Microsoft or somebody like that, a Google, a Meta, then you have to continue innovating. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. I've just seen for 45 years that I've watched the E-Trades, the Ameritrades. What happened to Ameritrade? Fabulous company, Thinkorswim. As far as I'm concerned, the best trading platform there is. Options trading, every futures, everything. Well, they got bought by Swap, which is a bank, really. It's been a financial institution for a long time. So those things happen. All right. So enough of my, let's get in. NVIDIA, AI hardware king, the GOAT. Okay. Up 0.44. Paid 95 cents, guys. This is a weekly paycheck. NVIDIA's been ripping. NVIDIA's close to all time or is at all time highs. 94% yield. Way to go. Just fantastic. Now that calculates that it's a weekly pay, but that's, yes, I know these are $52 stock. They're not $20 stocks. You go look at Nvidia and Yeomax, what is it? 17, 19. I haven't really looked, which is kind of sad, which means they didn't capture much of this V shape from April up. They're 1773. Why aren't they 25 or 26, right? They've been 30. So that's the problem with yield max funds. They're not leveraged. They don't capture the upside. That's why Tesla was a train wreck or a car wreck like crash. All right. So that's my problem. I like GDXY because there aren't many income funds on the gold miners. There's some on gold itself. But guess what? I look at the chart on GDXY, it's horrible compared to GDX. They're not paying that great because the IV's not that great. So again, not all income funds are the way to capture the gains. Now that there's competition, go with the one that's paying you the best, that you're treated the best, guys. Okay, 94. Let's go on to the next one. These are the first five. Look at Tesla. 93.92 yield. What was Tesla's yield? 50%, guys. So they're up $1.33, 58 cents on a weekly. Now, I know it's a $32 stock. It's a $7 stock, right? So you got a multiple of 4. But 4 times 58 is like 230, okay? So you're paying 30 cents. 4 times 30 cents is $1.20. So, and you're getting your money weekly. So there's just no competition right now for Roundhill versus Yilmax. Ulti is the only unique one that's kind of a mini hedge fund, and they're doing collars and they're doing a lot of things, right? That are good. I give it credit, but not much else, right? One doesn't make a whole, they pay right good on Hood, but Test, HOOW is a better fund. All right, guys. So let's continue. 93, 94. Apple. Yeah, now you come back. Hey, Apple's up. Got a lot of red over here. It's up now. Got a 32% yield. Koi. Now here's the problem. This is a classic one that you need to learn your lesson on DCA and timing. I mean, it was the rage. Coin flew up. Look at that chart. But what was I looking at saying, oh no, even when I sold my Coney, I didn't go put it all in Koi. I bought a little bit of Koi. You know what I did with the rest? I bought some multi and I put it all in PLTW. I already had all of my Pulte that I sold into PLTW, but I bought more because I just had a feeling earnings were going to blow out. And they will many of the future quarters. Not everyone. They keep running like this, they'll pull back. So be careful in chasing PLTW. But I can't think of a better large cap software company in the world than PLTR. And if you're going to play an income right now, it's PLTW. Let's see what Rex or Neos or somebody can get in the game with, right? It's not as they're not as popular as MSTR, and they're not as popular. Well, Tesla's arguable. They're not as popular as Nvidia. but they're way better. You know, Nvidia is like 4 trillion. Palantir is 1 trillion. I see Palantir go into 4 trillion market cap. So I see a 4x upside. I see potentially $1,000 in that stock 3 years. Nvidia can't do that. It's 4 trillion. It's not going to 12 trillion. All right. So not much in koi. Why? Because it just ran. Look at this. It got down to $30 on March 14th. All right. 27. So the market bottomed right around 4.7, 4.10. This thing bottomed. It looks like the lowest price was 4.11. Pretty close to the market bottom. Then we're in a V shape up. But I mean, coin was one of the largest performers. Went from, this is just looking at this fund, from 26. Here's a 62.88. So in a series of 3 months, you're underlying in an income fund, right? Yilmax could never do that. Never, never, never. They get 40% of the upside, okay? Because they're using leverage. That's what you want to own. But guess what? You don't want to ride that all the way back down. No, you do if you're playing, if you're Coinbase positive. But that's why take some off the top sometimes. Set out, set out for 2 or 3 weeks. Look at this. This is what I did on Pulte. I sold at 90, I bought at 70, and then nibble on some more at 50. But then I got tired of not getting paid from Max. Look at this. So here's just waiting 1, 2, 3 weeks. You could take 20%, or sorry, take $20, 33%. Now maybe it goes to 32, but what a buy it would be if you're bullish on crypto. I'm bullish on crypto. So that's how you almost have to treat these like growth stocks, guys. All right. Let's keep moving. So down at the bottom, I track this, right? So even having said all that, if you bought it at launch, well, I can't buy anything at launch. If you know the underlying and you know the fund's history, then it's okay to buy something at launch. But if the fund is new, you don't understand their strategy, you don't even really know the underlying stock very well, never do that. Let it establish a track record. Okay. So just fabulous. Look at this. Now, they're going to run into the same thing. Let's see their low point. Was it 314? They didn't drop going into 411, right? And 418. I mean, they were 30, but their low, it's close enough. So all of this 31 to 32 range here and lower, but once it starts moving, it's moving. It's still moving. So 55. Not quite as high as Coinbase, but the how far it ran, but what does that tell you? How far it stretched it is like a rubber band. It's coming back, guys. Revert to the mean. If you're bullish, you can buy, but don't just chase it. Don't go, man, I want in on Pulte right now and just buy your one time. So be careful with these things, but at the same time, what a move, right? Down 5. This thing of volatility will shake you around. What a great time to buy this fund at $40. Now you're sitting at 56. Look what you're getting paid. This is weekly, guys. 105%. 105.5. But $1.14. You'll be lucky to get that out of Pulte. They'll find a way to screw it up. The Geomax. They paid $7 and they earned 7 again and they paid 256. It's just no thank you. They're not going to get this kind of upside. They can't. All right, so enough of that. Look at this. This is what you want. The only one better than this is Hui. HOOW. 12.99 is what they've paid since paying on February 28th, and they're up 11.75 on the fund itself. I mean, you just don't get better than that. And if you do, it's pretty close to a pullback. I think Palantir may not yet pull back. We'll see if the market pulls back, they can take them back. Okay. So enough of the first five. We're now into the second five. Amazon down 345, still yielded 30, but that's the lowest yield so far. But when you're doing this, right? What's the fun overall? Down 123. But sure, all of a sudden now we're 61 days or something. What's the count on this? 51 days, 51 calendar days. So these haven't been out any length of time. We're 170 calendar days up here. All right. This one's going the wrong way. But when the market's moving up, it's still paying, a yield. It's only down a dollar, well, that's not good. It's paid $1.63. It's not, but it's a defensive, right? The market's roaring. Although we haven't really gone on to new highs, guys. I got some technical concern about the market again. It's just so, Trump's doing so many things, love him, hate him, anything like that. And he's a, showman. He's going to tell you everything's great. That's what he's good at. And he's not lazy. He's always working. But I don't know how it's all going to pan out. All these, all this build in America and do all this. It's all hype, and hopefully it all pans out. We got a lot of socioeconomic problems in the country that are still dragging us down and a lot of costs. But I hope it does. I just don't know if these markets in the tech side and the NASDAQ, these stocks can just keep flying. But I know my commodities will, because that's cost, right? That's just the cost of living. The demand doesn't go away. When you lose your job and you're in a recession, you don't stop eating. You just shop lower and you eat more unhealthy, but you still eat, right? It's like the lights. Do you ever just say, well, I'm going to turn the lights off? No, but you may say, I'm not going to run the air conditioner or the heater as much. I'm not going to the movies. I'm not going out to eat. I'm cooking at home. I'm Netflixing, whatever the cost cutting. And the housing market looks terrible, guys. That's going to hurt people as well. So consumer spending. All right, look at this. 115%. Look at this one. I thought I was good at Palantir, right? Again, I don't have the long-term belief in Hood that I do in Palantir, but nobody can argue with this. Once you see this thing moving, just please, if you don't own it and hadn't owned it, don't be buying right here and throw a bunch of money in there. If you just want to throw a little bit and say, I want to collect the shield, maybe you're going to get it for a few more weeks. I don't know. I can't tell you you're not. But don't just chase the yield, guys. $8. It's paid, and it's moved up 14.23. It's insane. But again, retail people that are buying this and chasing it usually get stuck. It'll FOMO in to where it'll have that final flare up. Maybe it goes to $90 here on, I'm not looking at the actual Hood. Let me do that over here on the chart and tell you what I think, how stretched it likely is. Well, it ran from about $15 to 67, 65, 67 in February. And then it pulled back from 67 to 30. That's just 0.618. What a time to buy. Bottomed in April along with the market at $30. It's now 111. So those, I could see 120, maybe 125. And I would not touch it at those levels. Matter of fact, I might short it. I might find one of the 2X, um, not income funds, because I don't think there are, but maybe Granite's got a hood short, a 2X. Because when you get stretched, it's just probability it's going to pull back. But doesn't mean that it's not going to then pull back to 65, 70, 75 from 125, and then go to 200. But you got to deploy some of the same swing trading. It's not day trading, it's swing trading against resistance levels and Fibonacci numbers, guys. And you apply it to these income funds. Now, if you're just literally every day living paycheck to paycheck, then you may not have a choice. But to me, that's a scary endeavor in itself. Okay, so let's continue. Meta, 80% yield, 81-cent payment, down $1.21. But look at the yield. Well, that still is their highest yielder. All right. Netflix finally got a green. This thing was for Netflix. That's because everybody's feeling rich. The stock market's up. Down 156, down 213, up 70 cents, down $5, down $1.44, up 63. I'd love to see it up more. Okay. Not a bad, um, what did I do here? Something's messed up there. Oh, that's supposed to be a date. That's the problem. There we go. So, 57 cents is second highest. Look at this. This is wild. 114. All right. MSTW. A lot of you guys are interested in it. I nibbled on some when I sold my Misty, but I didn't put any more into MSTR funds until it can show me it can perform. This is not performing. Look at what everybody else did. This isn't the height of the bull market. Yeah, I know, but it's 2 weeks. Crypto's not that far off, 115 from its 120-ish high, down 299. Still yielded good, but not a high yield relative to many other players. I'm bullish on BTC. I just don't know what's wrong with MSTW. Well, I don't know what's wrong with MSTR. Nothing wrong with MSTW. It can capture it if it's there. AMD, 319. Now I know, let me look at a chart on the other side. I know that AMD pulled back. I got out of my AMD because I know it can't capture enough of the upside. Yeah. And it looks like, I think we're done with this last run up, and I think we'll slide down for a while. The semis in general are. I'm not bearish on them by any means, but we went on the chart of AMD, we went from 75, a little over 180. We pulled back to 160, and now we're back up to 172. So I see an ABC here. So there's probably a still run down to 135, 140, could even go down to 125. So I'm not in any of the funds right now on AMD. I'm still bullish with the outlook for them, but they're stretched right now. And this is a simple pullback. Once they get their point, a 0.38, or they go to a 0.5, very likely they'll continue up. Semis are in need. The AI is driving that. And I like the company. All right, so that's AMD. Look at that, 129% yield. But I'd have to be a yield chaser to go buy it right now because I'm not convinced. If we get a continued melt up in the market, then this thing, that little blip down here will just be a blip and it'll run. But I don't like my probabilities on there. Look at AVGO. That's a love-hate relationship I have with Broadcom going way back for many years. I had a lot of friends work there that I used to work with elsewhere. I know a lot about them. They have both hardware and software. They're needed as far as the internet goes with some of their products. They bought a lot of software, a lot of good software companies. I don't always like their tactics, but they're a hell of a company. That's a fabulous yield, almost 100%, guys. They're up 247. So they're a force to reckon with. Look at Google. Weekly change 86, not going down. The yield's mediocre. But your Microsofts and your Googles, they're not going to triple and quadruple in the next year. They're just too big. Microsoft. Up, I'll take that. Same kind of thing in the 50s. Not bad. These are steady eddies. Google's not going to go down 45%. Neither is Microsoft. They're not going to drop that, but they're also not going to go up 45%. They're not your hoods. They're not your Palantirs. They're not even your Nvidias. All right, guys, here's a summary. This is where the rubber meets the road. So I simply label them the best of the five. So we go through NVIDIA, up 55. These have been losers within the funds for a while. These are all 219. You can't change that date. That's when they started. Now, when I go down and do comparisons and I look at competitive funds, I'll change it to 528 or 513 or 51 or 64. So I can get Neos, I can get Rex, I can get, everybody that's having a fund in there. And I put those out. I did not update all that stuff down below. This took quite a while with these 15 funds and pulling in current last week, updating. I mean, it's a lot of work. So I'm not always going to update the comparative, but I'm going to do a single comparative on all the funds that say have NVIDIA, all the funds that have Tesla, all the funds that have Coin, all the funds that have Palantir, all the funds that have Amazon. I need to do a hood. I don't know how many there are now, two or three, I think. But look at, so the best of the first five, and this is the more trustworthy because they got 170 calendar days in the market. Here's your distribution. Here's your distribution. This is your distribution percentage. This matters a lot. I probably should take this, invest 1,000. What's the dollar? They're kind of boring relative to what I'm doing here. So this is key. Nvidia's up from 219 to now 5.63%. PLTW is up 26.56. So it's proven itself over time. Okay. These guys, Koi now is down 12.96 since launch. Again, these guys, this was highs in the market, guys. This February 19th timeframe was highs in the market. Then it turned around and went down to April 7, April 10 was your bottom. Now and it's looking like a week ago, 10 days ago was sort of the high. We really haven't steadily gone back up to new highs. We're up near that. We've bounced back up very close, but we haven't gone on to new highs. And if we don't in another week, then I think it's down for the markets, right? Remember I said there's going to be big moves. So we had that A wave down. Now if this just goes on to new highs and goes straight up, then it was another V bounce, right? But I think it's going to be an A wave down that we had this a B wave bounce, and we'll have a C wave be longer and extend deeper than the A wave went down. That's my gut right now, probability feel. We'll see. I hope not. All right, second group. Who? And this happens when you have 51 days. They just blow out numbers like what's the gain or loss? Look at the percentage just in the fund. In the 51 calendar days, they've gone from $52 inception price to $72. It's 2/5. It's 40%, guys. 36.40. And that's 51 days. When you annualize that, it's 822%. That's why the numbers get crazy. Look at their distro annualized. Paid $7.90 in 51 calendar days if you've been in the fund. And you're up more than double that, right? You're up around $18, $19. I'd be trimming some if I owned it. I'd literally be trimming some. Either that, I would have my stop as soon as I saw it get up 70. I just look at the chart, analyze it technically, and then I put my stop in. Maybe I only stop out with 70% or 80%. I know when I stopped out of Pulte, I had 100%. I said if it drops, it's 95. If it drops below 90, I'm out. Happened the next day. And I didn't pick the bottom. I picked 72. I thought about 70 would be the bottom, but I want to make sure I get it. It went there, bounced up to 78, went down to like 58. Thought about buying. I said, no, now I'm waiting. I've already bought back in 80% and saved $20 from 90 to, or $18 from 90 to 72. Well, it one day dipped in the pre market down below 50. By the time I got it, it was like 53. That's what you got to do. You got to have a method. Now, I'm not getting paid every week, right? I am in income funds, but I'm not still working, so I don't get paid every week. Some of you guys that want to drip and do other methods, that's okay too. I'm just talking to a big audience out there. Everybody has a different style. 929. It's not even close. Who's second really here? The only, well, I shouldn't say the only loser, Berkshire Hathaway. Wrong environment for them. They'll excel in a flat to down market. This is not. It's been either up or down. 518, again, 51 calendar days. So you got to, this is a winner. Meta's been a winner in these funds. It's got 50% distribution annualized and almost 43 here. Again, when you have small, look at this. You talk about crazy numbers. Nobody has that kind of number, but if somebody really blew it out, only one fund, right? This is the only one that is down. Why? Because MSTR is not performing, which, if you've been listening to me for the last 3 weeks, I've been saying that. All you retire on Misty guys, I know. You tell me what your numbers are, but guys, always treat your money the best you can. I expect this will change going forward, but I don't know that it will. So right now I'm in the BTC funds, and even when it switches, I'll take my time to come back and I'll put it in MSTW of all the funds right now. I like that the best rather than Misty. AMDW. That's the winner here, guys. But again, I think it's getting stretched. So we'll see. This is an excellent fund. I like this Broadcom. And this is, but anybody can look good in 15 days. But MSTW really doesn't. It's paying well. All right, guys, these are not all updated. I mean, they are when it has to do with a Roundhill, but it's not fair to all the guys, right? That NVII is still really performing. But I need to make sure I didn't miss a payment or something in there and get everybody like NVYY is now paid, right? And now has another one that's not updated, so they're going to look even better. But I did that video earlier. I just didn't want to go through all this, so this one is updated. The only one that I made sure, because this one was easy, these are all updated, right? The underlying in Palantir. So just because I have three, it's so quick and easy. So look at, are you in Pulte or are you in PLTW? It's a 2-to-1 advantage. same time frame, right? Just simply double the performance. Your NAV loss projected annually based on 150. Well, just go over here. Your NAV losses, you had an 8.84% gain if you were in the Roundhill fund. You had a 21% loss on your under. Oh, I don't care about that, Bruce. I just care about the money they pay me. Okay, yield chaser, you go. Well, then go to Pulte because they're going to pay you more. Okay, just ignore that. Wait till Pulte pulls back 50 or 0.618. I wouldn't want to think about what this price of Pulte will get to be. Because they'll go down 95% with it. This might even go down 100, 105%. Depends on if they lower the 120% leverage. But so what? It can do that and still beat it easily. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. I'll let you go. Hopefully, I'll get more comparisons out there. Um, please like, please subscribe, tell your friends. Let me know what I can do to help you. You guys aren't bashful in the comments. I know I get long in the tooth. I really went on some rants when I did the Granite early. But I want you guys to be careful. I love that Granite's paying a lot, but just keep your eye on the ball. It's the same thing I said here. Don't rush into HOOW if you haven't bought any and you don't own any. Don't rush into PLTW right away. Make sure you're holding some back. You're buying over weeks time frame. Don't just throw it all in there, guys. Be careful with any of the MSTR funds. I know you guys are just saying I'm loading up on Misty. You're just confident as hell. And I can see that rationale only in the sense of saying, okay, Michael Saylor and MSTR, they own a lot of Bitcoin. Can the market just keep ignoring them if Bitcoin goes on to 135 or 150? Probably not. But whatever's holding it back needs to get fixed, and there's no guarantee that it will. Remember, it's all subject, just like the payday. Max, probably the worst thing they ever did was pay that $1.18. I still owned it. I still collected it. Happy to get it. But that's one of the reasons the stock's back at $18 also. And until MSTR fixes itself, oh, I take it back. It's 1933. Okay. But still. All right, guys, that's what I got for you. Have a great Friday ahead. You have your chance here. To buy these, anything you see that you want to or add to your positions, do it on Friday, guys. All right, that's it. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Have a great evening. Bye for now.